time I look in the mirror, all these lines on my face getting clearer. The past is gone. It went by like dusk to dawn. Isn't that the way? Everybody's got their dues to pay. Yeah, I know nobody knows where it comes or where it goes. I know it's everybody's sin. You got to lose to know how to win. Half my life's in books, written pages, lived and learned from fools and from sages. You know it's
Welcome to the Virtual Stab Comedy Theater. It's time for the Suzette Veneti Show. Please welcome to your screen, Suzette Veneti.
Think you're hot shit, ooh, I love it, yeah, yeah. Stumbling, but yeah, you're still looking hella fun. Keep doing what you're doing, I'm gonna make you mine. Well, you're a hot mess, and I'm falling for you, and I'm like, hot damn, let me make you my
Hi, everybody. It's 5:03 on a Sunday, which means it's time for the Suzette Veneti Show. How are you? It's June 6th. So that means if you have 4th of July plans, you're a little early. Slow down. There's still a pandemic. Don't get too excited. Also, 4th of July, no one's celebrating that anymore. We all decided that last year. So cancel those plans. Hi. Welcome to the Suzette Veneti Show, the only show that's hosted by a hot mess drag princess. That's me. And we're going to go ahead and get started. If I was all ready, and then, oh, you know what it is? I have a new screen protector on this, and so I can't use the screen like I want to. I need to use the arrow keys. I need to rip the screen protector off. Federal Judge Roger Benitez has overturned a 30-year ban on assault weapons, calling it a failed experiment, but he is letting more assault weapons onto the streets because banning them was failed experiment. So stay with me here. In his 94-page ruling, the judge spoke favorably of modern weapons and said they are overwhelmingly used for legal reasons. He went on to say, like the Swiss Army knife, the popular AR-15 is a perfect combination of a home defense weapon and a homeland defense equipment, good for both home and battle. That was a quote. This motherfucker said good for home and battle. Like, what the fuck? Legal reasons. Look, I would have listed off all the deaths that happened just in 2021, just in the last 6 months, from assault rifles, including mostly AR-15s. But I actually want to have a show. I have a really cool guest, so we don't have time to list all those deaths that happened from illegal weapons on the streets, and now they're going to be legal? Fuck. Roger Benitez, a terrible human being. Facebook says it's suspending Donald Trump's account for 2 years, which is funny because usually with Facebook updates, they're like 6 months too early, and it takes us time to like get adjusted to them, and we hate it until we don't. But banning Donald Trump is about 5 years too late. The Navy has released a report on their sightings of UFOs, which is accompanied by all sorts of crazy footage and sightings. Buried deep in the report is the quote, "Not since reading about Florida Man have we had such unbelievable things cross our desk." Speaking of unbelievable things, the attorneys for Derek Chauvin are seeking time served for their client. Good luck. That's all I got for jokes. It was a weird week, and I'm a weirdo. So let's just get to the show. But I have a great co-host in studio, truly one of my favorite people in the world. She was on the show last year, and now she's in studio with me. Please welcome to the show, Yaya.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going all right. How are you?
Pretty good. Hanging in there.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I will speak highly of you and extol your virtues more when we get to the interview. Do you mind sitting through the rest of the show with me?
Of course.
All right, cool.
Or I don't mind.
That is hard when people...
Right.
Right. I always feel like when people are like, oh, do you mind doing this? And I'm like, no. And then they look at me and I'm like, no, I don't mind.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always awkward.
Like giving directions and you're trying to say go left and someone's like left and you're like right. No, I mean correct.
Right.
Yes.
Left.
Okay. Sorry, we've hung out a couple times, but I've missed you.
I've missed you.
Okay, so we're gonna get to our first contributor, coming live from the parking lot outside of Badlands. One of my favorite follows, one of my favorite people. Give it up for Clifton Ellison.
Hey, baby, how you doing?
How are you?
I'm a little festive, as Taryn would say. It's my good Judy's birthday, so I'm out here. She's been drinking. That seems to have been the thing for the last couple of weeks. It's been all my friends' birthday, and nature is healing, so the girls are out. And look, I don't know if you guys can see though, but that is the Mercantile Saloon right there.
I can.
And it is open.
It is.
It is open.
It is
It is
open.
open. So, nature is really healing. Last night, I saw you last night. I can't wait for this no dancing stuff to end, girl. I'm so tired of having to tell the girls to stop dancing. It's like, you play pussy pop and music and the girls, they just want to pop their puss.
I heard that you had the pussies popping in the parking lot. Oh, say that 3 times fast.
Yeah. I didn't know there were popping pussy out there because I only see so much from the DJ booth. I only see the dance floor. So, they were all seated and behaved. But then Taryn told me, she was like, they were dancing so hard outside. And I was just like, one side of my brain was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. But the other side of my brain was like, oh, that means that I was doing it, From a DJ's perspective, if people are dancing, it's like, okay, you're doing it. But, in these times, you can't really be out there dancing. But I'm just so ready for that to be over because I just want the girls to be able to have fun, dance, live it up and just twirl. And I feel like a year and a half of not being able to twirl to the dance floor, we are all itching to just get out there and just do it, But it's been a nice weekend. It's my best friend's birthday this weekend, so we've been drinking all weekend. And, I had a date this weekend and it was okay. But it was just nice to get back out there in a sense because, the whole pandemic, I haven't really been putting myself out there because I don't want people in my house and I don't want to go to people's houses and things of that nature. But it was just nice. We saw a quiet place. We had dinner but towards the end, I was just like, I feel like he sees me as a Judy. That's always been a struggle with me. I don't know if you ever had that problem, Suzette, but like when guys see you as a Judy, that just means they see you as a friend. That's just
I know.
the friend zone.
Yeah.
I feel like if someone made a comedy about my life, it would be called #Judy or #friendzone, just either or. Those are like the working titles, but
Judy Zone.
It could be worse. I could be labeled an asshole, which I'm not. So, just got to go with the punches. But she's getting out there. Your girl is getting back out there.
Good.
So, in celebrity news, have you been keeping up with Simone Biles?
I saw she was trending, but for what?
So basically, they have been getting on her because she has been doing a lot of moves that a lot of the other girls just don't have the vernacular to do. And besides congratulating her and giving our queen her flowers that she deserves, they are punishing her. And they're like, oh, you can't do that. Da, 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 da. And it's just like, why? Why? If the other girls can't do it, maybe they might need to step their pussy up and just do it. You know, like she has always been a phenomenal gymnast, and she did some moves that they deemed illegal. And I'm just like, why is it illegal now? Because she's doing it, you know? And it's just, it baffles my mind with Black women in sports that when they are doing things that their counterparts that are not melanated cannot do, that it's, besides of giving them their flowers or congratulating them, they're punished. They're called egotistical. They're called, you know, showboating. And it's just like, why? That's what the sport is for. If they can do it, do it. Get your trophies, get your flowers.
Oh, yeah.
And then
I mean, you're preaching to the choir because, you know, I like basketball, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, just a little bit of history. Basketball used to be played very fundamentally by very white people. And then when the league was, you know, integrated with Black players, people were like, oh, look at these Black players showboating with their dribbling, their fancy two-handed dribbling,
Mm-hmm.
and they're jumping. And it was like, well, also the white people can attempt to do these things.
Exactly. Step your pussy up. Step it up.
Or find a way to find a way to compete with people that are better than you if you can't. So figure out how to do what they're doing or figure out your own path, but quit complaining.
Exactly. Like, don't sit here and hate on somebody that is excelling at the sport that they have spent their whole life training for, their whole life sacrificing, training, putting in so much work for it. You're going to punish her because she's doing something that the other girls can't? Why not praise her?
I feel like this might be something Yaya and I talk about in a little bit.
And one last thing before I go, because my friend just texted me, where are you at? And I'm like, I'm in the car doing a show. But also to Naomi Osaka, because, you know, she said, I don't want to do press. And I understand that. I get it. The press can be vicious, and especially to a Black girl of a particular age, they're very like they like to nitpick. They like to just keep poking and poking. And a lot of people don't understand that. And so a lot of the press are giving her a hard time to say, oh, she needs to just deal with it. She needs to woman up, and da-da-da. And I'm just like, no, like if someone is not mentally in the right place, give them their space. And why is it that when other people are having a moment, we're all about mental health matters, mental health, da-da-da-da, but then when it's someone that is younger and someone of color, then it's like, oh, you need to man up, you need to woman up. No, give them the same allowances that you give everybody else. And that really kind of made me feel the type of way, especially someone that I also have anxiety and depression and things of that nature. And I understood where she was coming from, because the press can be very vicious, especially to Black female athletes like Serena, Naomi, the list goes on. And they have, history shows they have not been kind to the girls. So why, if I was in her shoes, why would I give y'all my energy when I could spend that time keeping my energy, keeping my sanity, and perfecting my craft to make sure that I'm the best athlete that I can be for my next game? You know, but that's how they do.
I get it. Well, good luck to both Naomi Osaka and Simone Biles. And hopefully
they're going to be just fine.
Oh, no, I know they're going to be fine. I meant good luck dealing with the haters. Because they're going to be fine. But that's the thing. The haters are just going to keep coming. So, you know, I guess I would just say flip your hair over your shoulder and keep going.
Keep going, because, you know, they're inspiring so many people. Because, you know, I don't really watch sports that much. When I watch them, something about women in general, but just gets me motivated. And watching them, I'm just like, well, shit, I need to step my shit up, you know? And I'm not even an athlete, but it's just a real motivating thing to see. What was I going to say? How was the show today?
Oh, I think it was great. I mean, Yaya, how did you enjoy the show?
It was very fun. It was my first time doing brunch, let alone my first time performing
Oh wow!
in like a year and a half. So
Yeah, since
yeah, it was really fun.
you did a showcase right before the pandemic, right?
What was my last show? I think my last legitimate show before the pandemic was at Port Bar in Oakland.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I'm
yeah.
sure I did a showcase before. The
Yeah, because I
pandemic as
walked
well.
by
Yeah.
and I listened and I heard hella cheers and I was like, okay, someone's doing it up in there. So
Mm-hmm.
It was probably
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know about that, but they were living. They were living for everybody. It was fun.
Yeah, no, it was
yeah,
good.
I'm
We had
literally right outside of the bar right now. I'm about to walk back in. My friends keep texting me. I told you that I have to sneak off to the car to do a little podcast real quick though. But Suzette, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you
I
for
do
being
have
here.
to get back
Oh no,
to the
please
festivities though.
tell your friends thank you for loaning you and that I come first.
Exactly. You know, if anybody else, I would have said, hey girl, I can't do it. But for you, I will get into a car on a 100-degree day and do a podcast sweating inside my friend's car. But
Okay.
it's all worth it because I love you.
Next time you're at the bar, we'll just set you up in my space upstairs.
Oh.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah, please do. Don't go get sweaty for me. I mean, not right now.
All right, baby. I
Okay.
gotta go.
Okay. Love you. Bye.
All right, love you. Bye, Yaya.
Bye.
Okay. And it looks like we were gonna go with Chelsea next,
Sure.
but she is having a bad connection.
Okay.
Well,
when she jumps on, I'll go to the bathroom.
I'll let her know that you said that.
Okay.
Let me.
Let her know to hurry.
Yeah, Chelsea, if you have to go to the bathroom, you gotta go.
I can wait if she wants to jump on with you.
I think she might be not going. So
Okay.
if you want to go, Jesse and I can talk about some programming for the month of June.
Okay.
Give you a second.
Yeah. Sorry, I had like half a water bottle and
No,
Here
I
we
mean that's the thing. Brunch is. I mean, we're hot.
yeah.
And we're performing and we're drinking a lot of water to stay hydrated.
Mm-hmm.
So I get it. So
Yeah,
you take
okay.
a
I'll
minute.
be right back.
Let me see if Chelsea wants to come. Riveting foot stuff right now. So Jesse, what else do we have in June? We're doing in association with the LGBTQ Center of Sacramento. Stab Comedy is doing special programming on Sunday nights, Monday nights, Tuesday nights, all month of June.
Yeah, I thought the show obviously that made the most sense here being you here holding down Sundays to have that, and then
Oh,
get
it's
some
an honor.
get some extra special guests.
Mm-hmm.
Mondays, Emma Haney and I will be doing playing some Dream Daddy in Happy Time Arcade. It's sort of you could probably imagine what it is if you don't already know. And Tuesdays, Buddy will be hosting the Obscure Movie Trivia Show, as Buddy usually does on Tuesdays, with a little bit more of the LGBT skew, whether it be the movie of choice or the panel specifically. We're just trying to theme some shows for Pride for our association with the Sacramento LGBT Center. If you guys want to donate, the ways you can are right above Suzette there. Their website, saccenter.org/donate, or their Venmo at SAC LGBT Center. And also, we just added a show this coming Saturday. It's Dr. Buddy Love, which you might happen to know a little something about.
I do. I'm actually booked on it.
Yeah.
Dr. Buddy Love, Under the Stars, is it's outside, and we're gonna do some comedy sets and then talk about sex and relationships. So I know something about the show, but I think it's been so long since I've been in a relationship or had sex, I may not know anything about those anymore. Kind of like I had a car that had a crank, and now there are like gasoline cars outside, and I'm like, I don't understand modern times.
Well, in addition to you headlining, it's Dr. Buddy Love is also going to feature Jessica Roberts, Maddie Nishimi, and he gave me the wrong name twice. It's Ashley Monique.
Yep.
Yeah, kept trying to say Monroe, but it's Ashley Monique.
It is Ashley Monique,
Yeah.
a friend of mine, and Buddy is, of course, too, and I love Maddie and Jessica and Buddy. I said buddy twice. That's how much I love him.
So that's going to be this coming Saturday, and we have very limited seating. Tickets are already available on the website.
He didn't tell me I'm headlining. You said I'm headlining?
That's what I was told.
Oh, okay,
I mean,
cool. I'm
or
headlining.
I don't know. It might be fluid, but that's what I've got here.
No, I'll headline. I am excited. I'll have to invite some friends. I've never headlined a show before.
That's awesome.
Yeah, thank
Well,
you.
we've only got we did 20 seats for the first show last week. I'm gonna gradually keep upping it, so we've got 25 tickets available for a show in the backyard next week.
Okay.
Next Saturday, the 12th.
I hope that some of my friends want to come see me headline, because I'm adorable and I'm going to talk about sex. So, come out for that. Oh, it's a pun. I hate puns so much. Okay. It looks like Chelsea's not gonna. She'll try. She's driving up. Oh my God! Work with me, technology. So you had fun at. I'll just talk to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. You had fun at brunch.
Yeah, brunch was a blast. Just a total testament to my lack of stamina right now. Before the pandemic, it was like I was performing, 3 to 5 times a week, and taking that year and a half off and coming back, I'm like, wow, I can't even imagine putting myself back into that, same workflow, because I was so used to it, and now it's like, it was just weird coming back, and especially having to do a double set, doing your first round of numbers, then you got the new audience comes in, you do your second round of numbers, just coming up and down the stairs, I'm like, whew. So it was definitely brutal, but I'm very ready to get back into the swing of, working.
Well, and you didn't just ease in either.
No, today is welcome back. You've got 2 brunch shows. You're doing a podcast, and then we're going back to the club, and we're doing the night show.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been up since 7 is when I started painting.
My friends call this a Suzette Sunday.
Yeah.
4 shows in one day with 2 brunch shows, then the Suzette Veneti show, and then back for the Sunday showcase.
Mm-hmm.
And it is brutal.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for being here.
Of course.
So Chelsea's going to jump on if her connection improves
Sure.
while she's driving to Sacramento, ironically. She might just pop in. I don't know. But let's start our interview.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so you are a recording artist. You are a drag performer. You're so talented. We have produced a show together, and I watched our interview back, and I said in the interview, it's unfair how funny you are. And I was like, I agree with past me. It's unfair how funny you are.
I'm not that funny.
I think you are.
I'm not deliberately funny. I don't know. I'm just
But when you do want to say something, it's funny.
Well, that's good to hear.
I think. Okay, I went back to my monologue. That wasn't funny. Okay, here we go. So we're not completely fully out of the pandemic yet. 9 more days. What's it like being back to performing? I mean, you kind of touched on it a little bit, but
it's definitely a totally different world. I don't know if we want to get into the whole social dynamic of it yet. I don't know if that's a later topic of conversation.
yeah, let's hold that for a little bit later. What's it like for
on a personal level? Yeah. I'm just excited to be back. I think everyone's excited to be back. The crowd, the other drag artists in the community. I think we're gonna see a big resurgence and renaissance in the drag community for sure. Just because, before the pandemic, everything was really drag race heavy, and the local economy was kind of based around viewing parties and drag race tours, and now that they're still doing 9 million seasons of Drag Race. I feel like the public's attention has kind of shifted more to a local level because it's easier to consume.
right?
It's like when you've got a Drag Race franchise popping up everywhere every 5 seconds, it's like, okay, well, there's 13 new queens. every 5 minutes, Yaya's in Sacramento. She's not going to be here, so I can pay attention to her. So I do feel like, the local scenes are starting to get a little bit more attention. I feel like with everybody coming back and going to the clubs, there's just going to be a lot more energy for the local community, which I think is great.
No, I think it is great. And
Yeah.
if brunch is any indication, we've had, I think today it's on the Instagram. It's like the 39th sellout in a row.
Oh, wow.
So people want to be there.
Yeah, people want to be out. People want to live their lives again. People want to celebrate, nightlife and artistry and performance art, which is just so exciting. I feel like that energy was almost fading away before the pandemic, and the pandemic just kind of reset everything in a way. I don't want to say it was like a good thing, because obviously it totally was not a good thing, but
I think it was what you made it.
Exactly.
And I think if you wanted to sit at home and say like, and that was me taking some Pepto-Bismol tablets Gas X, that's what it was. Yeah, because brunch be making me gassy.
I feel that.
If you want to sit home and do nothing, right, and not, if you're a drag artist and not work on bettering yourself, which is something that Taryn, if she was here, she is very vocal about that. Like make yourself better.
Oh,
Or if you're a comedian, work on jokes, write jokes, make yourself better. If you're a cross-point needle stitcher, like do that.
Yeah.
But and I think the pandemic can be, I think too many people went into it with like, I'm gonna use every day to learn a new language, and it's like, no, slow down.
Right.
Do something you can do. So I don't know if it was a bad thing. Obviously, loss
it
of
was
lives.
definitely bad
Yeah.
on like a continental universal level. Very detrimental to the world economy and
Sure.
and the health of everybody. But on a personal level, I definitely think it was a time to sit back, reflect, work on your priorities in life. That was like one of the first things that really got to me, was like, okay, what are my priorities? What really matters to me? It's your family and your chosen family and your art. To me, that's what I stepped back and really worked on, even though I worked a crazy fucking job. We can talk about that later. But yeah, no, it was just a nice time to just step back, reevaluate, and now I get to come back and feel like I kind of get to start over in a way.
Yeah, and I think maybe in that way the pandemic kind of taught people to be grateful for, and I don't want to say that, like grateful for like drag performers and brunch, but like look at what you have in front of you.
Right. Exactly.
It's not RuPaul.
Right.
But is it lesser?
Yeah. Well, I think America definitely is so consumer driven, and we want more, and it's like we expect so much from artists and content creators, and you have to be at a certain level out the gate to have any kind of respect in any field, whether it's comedy, fashion, blogging, art, drag, music, whatever it is. It's like there's no time anymore to be like an amateur, because people want to see the best of the best. And I feel like coming back into the world, that just absolute consumerism has kind of gone away, because I think a lot of people realize, like you said, what's right in front of me. Let me appreciate that. It's like I've got a community within a 10-mile radius of me that creates amazing music and art and performance, and let me just dive into that and support that, and really just relish in my own community. So I think that's a definite positive of the pandemic.
Yeah, I think that's a better way to say it than what I said. Positives have come out of a tragic event. Did you have any apprehension coming into performing after, what, 15 months off?
Yeah, definitely. Just because before the pandemic, I was really questioning how I felt about performing in drag in general. Just a lot of like questioning my own, you know, where I sit on the gender spectrum and how that pertains to me out of drag and in drag. And so there was a lot of internal debate there before the pandemic and still. And, you know, dealing with the, you know, people want to see more from content creators. And it gets draining when you're like, I want to go through my natural creative process, but it's like, I've got 6 shows lined up over the next 7 days, and if I repeat numbers, I'm going to get dragged and read for it. If I come up with too much new stuff, I'm going to spread myself too thin. I'm not going to know my words. I'm not going to have solid concepts. So it was just like so draining trying to find that balance between like, my own artistic process versus what an audience wants to see and what an audience expects from a performer. And then with drag being so highlighted in mainstream media now, it's like you're constantly fighting with the public's perception of what drag is and your life as a drag artist, like what it means to you versus what it means to the public. So I definitely feel some apprehension there. And it's not necessarily because of the pandemic at all. You know, I had that apprehension before any kind of lockdown. But I think the lockdown made me appreciate, you know, my creative process more and definitely made me more excited to like get back into it with a fresh set of eyes.
No, that's a great way to put that. And I, before the pandemic, I had never done, 6 shows in a week. What was it, 2 weeks ago? I think I did technically 1, 2, 3, 4 shows between a Thursday and a Sunday, and 6 or 7 numbers. And that it is a lot.
It's a lot
to be that creative and to give that much. And that's something like, when do you start thinking of a concept and how quickly do you perform it?
I wish I was quicker. I'm not like my process is not super fast, especially now because like stuff will be funny online for like 5 minutes, and so it's like by the time you've YouTube to MP3 the content you need, put it in a mix, and get a booking, get to the show, perform this mix. It's like sometimes this is not funny anymore, or it's not topical. Every mix or every number kind of comes from a different place. I don't think I ever just sit down with a pen and paper and I'm like, all right, it's time to conceptualize. Sometimes it's just triggered by other things, or I'll see, someone perform something and I'm like, oh, I forgot that song even exists, and then you'll see something on TV or on Twitter and you're like, oh my God, the lyric from this song is, part of this. And then you can throw it together and, you're just kind of inspired by what's around you and what you're seeing. And then other times it's stuff like, these are concepts that I've had in my head since I started drag. And it just, sometimes you finally get to the point where you're like, okay, well, let me materialize that idea that I've been sitting on for 5 years.
Well, right. And I talked about that. I had a comedian, Liz Glazer, on last week. And we talked about, in comedy, sometimes you don't know how to tell a joke when you start. You have to work through being a comedian for 5 years, 10 years before you have the skills to tell that joke. So I know that was the thing with me. Like, I had a lot of concepts when I started, no idea how to execute.
Exactly.
And even watching our interview from last Maybach this morning, I asked my Disney princess joke, and you were like, you're Alice in Wonderland. And I was like, oh, I have an idea for a video. Still haven't made the video.
Right.
Didn't
but
really
you'll get there,
But it was like just the like, if a concept is a fully formed concept for a drag number is like 100 pieces of concept points.
You've got to have the look,
right?
The skills to put the mix together, the resources to pull it off in a timely manner, because sometimes it is, you know, on a timeline, you know, it's like this is only topical for this period of time. I gotta hop on it. So, you know, there's a lot that goes into conceptualizing stuff like that, and it does come from different places. Sometimes it's garment driven. You know, I thrift a lot, and sometimes I'll find something and I'm like, oh my god, that looks exactly like this costume from this music video, or this reminds me of something I saw when I was a kid. And then you build this whole mix or performance around, you know, some random blazer you thrifted.
Okay, so that's interesting, because a queen that I admire, I won't name names, but I'll say it's not someone that I hate. A queen that I admire playfully reads me for picking songs based on what looks I have.
Right.
And I'm like, well, that's just a different way than most people do it, but like, makes a lot of sense to me. It's easier, for me, it's easier to pick a song based on a look. Because sometimes I will, like, I have this one idea that I have been meaning to, like, seek your guidance on. I have this concept for this number. I don't know how to make the look work. And to find that look or to make that look, that could take me years.
Right.
But, you know, if I get, like, the right shirt, I'm like, oh, boom, wasabi. I'm doing wasabi next week, guys.
Right.
So, I don't know. Do you go both ways with that?
Totally.
Sometimes you have the song and you find the look. Sometimes you have the look and you find the song.
Yeah, definitely.
Both are valid.
Totally.
Okay.
You know, there's no right or wrong way to put this all together, you know? I always say drag is the art of all the arts. You know, you can be a drag artist and a dancer. You can be a drag artist and a musician. You can be a comedian. You can be anything, a gymnast. It's the all-encompassing art form. So there's no right or wrong way to do any of it, you know? And even on an individual basis, I'm like, my process is never the same twice. So
I like that you said there's no rules. I think a lot of people, if they want to get into drag, they're like, what are the rules? So that can be confusing, because it's not like there are unwritten rules, but you shouldn't follow the rules.
And people need to make the distinction, you know, as performers, you're an artist, but you are also like an employee of the club that you're performing at. So, you know, there's a fine line between, you know, there's no rules and there's a lot of fucking rules, you know, because it's like there are no rules to how you approach your art form and the integrity of your decisions as an artist. But there are definitely rules when you walk into a nightclub and you've got a call time and you've got a DJ you've got to work hand in hand with. You know, there's definitely rules in the world of entertainment. But in the world of being an artist, you know, the rules are wishy-washy. You can kind of play around with, you know, your approach. But, you know, definitely don't walk into the club and then, you know, if someone tells you to do this, this, and that, and then you say, well, there's no rules. Because it's not going to work out for you.
Well, and a lot of the things you named were respect. You know, respect the space you're in. Respect the club giving you the opportunity.
Exactly.
They don't owe you the opportunity.
No.
The booker doesn't owe you the opportunity. The show doesn't.
Because you're disposable.
Right.
Unfortunately, it sucks to say, and you know, as an artist, you have to remind yourself of that sometimes. I know for me, I'm always like, there's times where I just want to walk into the club and like start fights and be a diva. I'm like, no, I'm disposable. I'm like, if I say too much to the wrong person, or, you know, I have a bad day, it's like that might be the tipping point for someone else who's just like, you know what? They're not that important to the operation. Bye, you know? There's 10 other people in line at the door waiting for a number. So if you can't show up on time, have your shit together, be respectful and kind to your host, you know, your DJ, your bartenders, your bar backs, your servers, wherever you are, you know,
your fellow cast,
your castmates. If you can't navigate all of that professionally, you know, the rest of it doesn't matter. You're not going to have a place.
Yeah, no, that is important. I think a lot of performers that now exist within just the pandemic and performers that existed before and will exist after kind of have misconceptions about how important they are to the grand scheme of things. It's like,
Totally.
no, none of us are.
Right.
There's someone else who probably is going to do it better, waiting for a chance.
And that was one of the growing up. One of the things my dad always said to me was, "You could be great at what you do, but there will always be someone better."
It's a
And
pep
that
talk.
I'd always just say that to myself in my head. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm cute, but someone's cuter, so don't get too comfortable.
Yeah.
All right.
Was there any rustiness coming out of a 15-month layoff?
Yeah, my fucking joints, man. I'm like all creaky and broken. I gained like 30 pounds. So yeah, there's some rust and dust, and I gotta get my ass to the gym. I gotta start eating some eggs and bacon.
You were wearing the same looks that I've seen you wear. Like, I'm not trying to read you and say like I've
it's
seen you
definitely
in those
harder to
looks.
get into them though.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. I'm wearing my little moo right now because this shit will always fit me.
I mean,
But-
muumuus are cute
Right.
if you do it right.
Yeah.
So it's okay. I was thinking of the spelling of muumuu. Sometimes when I'm tired, I get sidetracked in my own head. Like it's MUU.
Is that what it is?
I think so. I think
Oh.
that's muumuu is right. You would think MOO.
Or MUMU.
That yeah.
Or
I think
I don't know.
I want to say it's the strange one. But overall, it feels good to be back performing.
Totally.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Welcome back. It was
Thank you.
so cool having you at brunch.
Thank you.
And I hope we get to do it again soon.
Yes, please.
Can we talk about your new album?
Yes.
Okay.
let's.
So you have an album titled Stranger.
Mhm.
It comes out on the 18th.
Yes.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, so this is going to be my second full-length album. I released Dreamland back in 2018. And Dreamland, I almost don't even think of it as like an album. It's more of just like a collection of songs that I had like written and produced throughout like high school and college and moving back to Sacramento from college. So I never really had like an album in mind when producing a lot of those songs. And this was a completely different process. It was like I did that album. I did like a little EP after that. And then I like sat down in the studio and I was like, okay, cool. I like released an album. It takes a lot to get to that point too, So I was like, cool, I released an album. I'm proud of myself. Like I pulled it together. I pulled it off. She did successful for me, So it's like, okay, now my next body of work is like going to be another album because that's what you do as a musician.
Right.
So it was like the first time I sat down in the studio and I was like, okay, I'm making an album. I have to think of it as a collection of, at the time I wasn't sure. I was like, okay, so I got to do 10 to 12 songs. There has to be a collective energy behind the songs, some cohesion. That was something I had never really thought about, was like producing songs with similar production across the board. So it was a fun process to like know going in that I was working on an album because I've never done that. So
What's the style of this album?
It's definitely, alternative. I don't feel like I belong to a specific genre of music. It's definitely heavily electronic. I'm very inspired by like new wave artists from like the 80s and 90s. I grew up on a lot of, like Depeche Mode and the Eurythmics and stuff like that. So that's a lot of where my influence comes from. But I'm also, as a gay person, I'm always surrounded by music and art and all of that fun stuff. So it's very, inspired by just, dance music and house and 80s new wave. And, there's even some moments that are like kind of classic rock inspired, just because that's what I grew up on as well. So, alternative with a heavy electronic influence and just a lot of inspiration from all over the place.
That's cool. I like eclectic
Yeah.
things, and that sounds really eclectic and fun.
Yeah. Well, I love music that makes you think, but it's also like easy to listen to. One of the first records that I ever heard, modern records, that I was so enamored by was LP1 by FKA Twigs. And I sound nothing like FKA Twigs, but it was like the first time it was like, okay, this is an R&B album, but it's super bizarre and thought-provoking. And I just loved that concept of like, it is very much true to its genre, but there's something so unique and captivating about it that inspired me to, it changed my approach to music for sure. So.
Okay. So how did your approach change?
Just being more unafraid of experimenting with sounds, like on a few of the songs of the album, there's like the sounds of tambourines, but they're not tambourines. It was literally my keys. I had brought my keys into the studio and they were sitting on the counter, and I picked up my keys and I shook them in front of the mic. And so there's like some moments on the album where it's like it sounds like a tambourine, or it sounds like a hi-hat or a cymbal, but it's like just picking up items and like making music with it.
Is there a term for that in music making?
I don't know what like an official term would be for that. Just experimenting with random objects that aren't instruments,
In sound, Foley in movie making, Foley is when you take something like keys and make it sound like a hi-hat.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess maybe that doesn't translate to music.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah,
we can
maybe.
Google it later.
So how do you the first single from Stranger is Get High, right?
Amen.
Oh, Amen. I'm
So
sorry.
Amen came out back in May,
Okay.
and then Cold Water, and then Get High.
Okay. The third single.
Yes.
Okay. I like them all. I've listened to them all.
Thank you.
Again, tired. But third single. How do you pick a single?
It's hard.
Oh, Get High is my favorite. That's what it is.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard because, I put the same amount of love and effort into each song. And I went into every song, with the thought of, I want this to sound like the first song on the record, or I want this to sound like the lead single. And every time you start another song, you're like, well, I want this to sound like the first song on the record. I want this to sound like the first single. And every time you start a new song, you've got that mentality. So it was hard picking, the singles to show first. And I think the reason I picked Amen was because it had this really dark, foreboding essence to it.
Mm-hmm.
And the first half of the record is definitely on par with that tonality. And then Get High kind of speaks for the rest of the album because it definitely goes into this more, soft, eclectic, ethereal pop on a house beat. But, it takes the album into a different direction, that specific song. So I wanted to put out a couple singles that spoke for different production styles on the record.
That's cool. I like that there, every production style is represented.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's eclectic
Mm-hmm.
to have that. Do you have a favorite single, or is that like picking a child?
Yeah, no, it is. There's definitely days where like you'll hear a song and you're like, oh, that was so good. I did that. And then you'll hear it again and you're like, okay, I'm sick of hearing it now. I feel like right now my favorite is Cold Water again. I really liked that one before, and then I liked Get High, and then I came back to Cold Water. So it changes,
Do you ever make a song or pick a single that you don't like but will resonate with people?
Ooh, that's hard. No. I try to pick songs that I'm proud of. And it's really hard to tell what's gonna like hit and what's not gonna hit, and it's like when you're an artist, you try to be objective, but it's so hard because your personal feelings are very much in the mix with each thing that you produce. So it's definitely hard to be like, oh, well, objectively, this is the best song on the record, so let's make that the lead single. Because I'm sure when the album comes out and people hear it, there's going to be songs on there that they think, you know, why are we just hearing this now? This should have been the lead single from the record. But, you know, I picked Amen because I thought it was representative of like the first half of the album. And the meaning behind that song specifically lyrically was very influenced by not even necessarily the pandemic, but just like our government in general. And I wrote that song from a very angsty place when I was feeling very jaded and upset about, you know, the current political climate. So I was like, I just felt like that was the song, you know, topically, lyrically, production style. I felt like that was, you know, the right song to show first.
So this is a question I just thought of.
Mm-hmm.
When I had CDs, I would notice I always ended up liking the same number track, like 3, 7, and 10, in addition to 1. Is there thought that goes into where you place the songs?
Totally. Because I feel like a lot of really good records that have released lately have really weird track listing. And for me, the energy and flow of the record is so important. Because I'm not the kind of person that throws my shit on shuffle. I love listening to a record front to back and like experiencing the artist's intent with the record. Just for example, like an album that I think has a really weird flow is Plastic Hearts by Miley. I think the songs are all really good, but the way they're track listed is so weird to me because it's like high energy and then it cuts off and then it's low energy and high energy again. So just like the flow of the album just feels really like stop and go. So with, you know, my record, the track listing is definitely a huge thought process. You know, the first song on a record is always it sets the whole tone. You know, and the first song on Stranger is Run, which starts off in like a jungle setting. Like it starts off with like you're in the forest, and it's just got this really dark, slow, like foreboding, eerie kind of, you know, something is behind you or something's in front of you. You can't see it. So it just sets the tone for the whole record of just being very, I don't want to say creepy, but, you know, dark.
Ethereal?
Dark and ethereal. Yeah, it sets that tone for sure. And the production is really powerful on it. So, you know, I wanted that to be the first song. And then Amen takes you somewhere completely different. And then Judgment and Stranger are the next two, and Judgment I would almost say is like the intro to Stranger, because the tracks go right into each other, and then after Stranger the record kind of takes a different turn stylistically. So yeah, I definitely think about the track listing and how the record starts and how it ends.
It's really interesting that I lost my train of thought. But I wonder if there are artists that don't put thought into it.
I would think so. You know, a lot of the times with these bigger record label albums, the artist is the smallest piece of the puzzle.
So they might have an intention for the track listings, and it could be subverted by
a
producers?
label or totally. I think a lot of mainstream artists don't really have much stake in what they're producing. You know, it's like even if you write the song, they go in and then there's a producer and there's a vocal producer and engineers that kind of take the track into a completely different place, and then you send it off to mixing and mastering. And, you know, there's so many pieces to putting a record together, and I think a lot of artists come into the studio, sing their words, go home, and let the label deal with the rest of it. And as a local artist, it's like you're involved from, you know, the get-go. You know, I have to do the record myself from beginning to end, you know, through its conception and its release. So it is important for me to, you know, take into consideration the energy in the track list. So
I'm glad you do.
thank you.
It probably makes for a better album.
Yeah.
So you worked on it during the whole pandemic. What was that like? Yeah, how is that different to create an album during a pandemic as opposed to outside of one?
Well, it was definitely an experience. There was a lot of feelings that went into the record. You know, when the pandemic started, I felt angry and mad, and I think that kind of drove a big portion of the record emotionally and lyrically. And it was also nice to not be doing drag every 5 seconds, because I could finally just like that was my artistic outlet for a really long time.
Right.
You know, it was like I would get off work and I didn't have a show that I needed to get painted and go do. It was like I got off work, I went to studio. So that was my complete and total artistic release throughout the whole thing. So I feel like I was definitely able to dive more into it than I would have if I was doing a full-time drag career.
Speaking of that, you are a musical artist, a full-time drag performer when there's not a pandemic, and you have a 9-to-5. How do you juggle all that?
Very carefully. You can't drop any of the moving pieces,
Right.
or it all just kind of crumbles down. It's definitely hard to pull all of it off, but miraculously I do somehow. I've got like a very strong drive, and I've managed to muster energy at any given moment. Because I just try to devote myself, and be fully present with whatever I'm working on, whether it's a drag number or an album, or if I'm at work. The second I clock in at work, it's like, okay, I'm at work. Let me focus on the task at hand. And sometimes it's nice, to clock in and not have to worry or think about, your next performance. During the pandemic, I took on a really big role at my job as like an operations supervisor. So I traveled a lot, and I was on the road a lot, working like 60 to 80 hours a week. And initially I was like, oh, this will be good, it'll keep me busy, I don't have much going on, I can take on this really big job and put some money away. And after doing that for a while, I got to a point where I was like, no, I'm an artist, like I will always be an artist, and I have to step away from this, because not being able to set aside time to work on music or work on clothing or fashion or drag performances, it like put me in such a dark place. So it's really hard, but like everything, it's all about balance, and I feel like I'm really good at establishing balance in my life, which I guess I attribute to my parents, because they're both so not balanced.
Oh.
They're like on such opposite ends of the spectrum.
From you or from each other?
Yes.
Okay.
All of it.
Okay.
I feel like, my mom is so creative and passionate and a little impulsive, and my dad is very calculated and business savvy. And so, I grew up with someone who's always telling me to take the logical route, and then my mother always coming in and telling me, think with your heart. So I grew up just constantly like, what the fuck do y'all want me to do? I'm like, you want me to think logically, you want me to think passionately. And I think growing up in kind of that like chaos made me learn how to like pull from both ends of the spectrum and establish balance. So it's just all about being present and being balanced.
So you built your style of balance by learning from your parents and what they brought to the table for positive and negative. That's
just kind of learning what not to do,
right, but also learning what to do in a way.
Yeah.
I mean, I say that like I am who I am, in spite of my dad or because of my mom or something like that. But,
Yeah.
Okay. And do you feel like you're better served for that, for being able to go at it with such balance because of your parents? Or
Yes and no. I almost feel like sometimes I'm so objective in my thinking that it becomes like a detriment. Like I wish I was a little bit more delusional because I think I would enjoy myself a little more.
yeah.
I see a lot of people come out and they think they're hot shit and they think they're the most beautiful thing that ever walked up into the club, and I'm not that person, because it's like I'm constantly like thinking, am I acting right? Am I making the right decision? Am I being too objective? Am I being too passionate? And with all of that, it's like, you're constantly being your own harshest critic. So I never walk into the club like, oh, yes, I'm that bitch, because it's like, I'm always like, am I that bitch? I don't know.
I think you might be that bitch. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm terrible accepting compliments. I'm terrible accepting like positive feedback. So, maybe that's one of the positive thing or negative things that,
Maybe. I seem to have the coolest friends though. So, you're the coolest. Are you hot? Do you need a fan?
I'm
by the way?
good. No,
okay.
I'm good.
All right.
Yeah.
I just realized I didn't ask you before we started.
I got this nice fan over here.
Good deal. Okay.
We're good.
I think it's just having my hair down is making me hotter.
Yeah.
So let's talk about people who think they're hot shit. So you took a year off plus from performing, but you stayed plugged into the scene. Now you're back to performing. You're doing a Suzette Sunday, which I don't recommend to anybody.
Yes, proceed with caution.
Right. And you're kind of meeting people for the first time. You're
re-meeting
people. People have skewed perception. I was talking to Jesse about some comedians. I know we've talked some. There are some performers in both of my worlds, drag and comedy, that only have existed during the pandemic, which is such a weird perception.
Totally.
And it's gone long. I mean, if it had been like 2 months, it would be like, oh no.
Yeah, you'll catch on.
Yeah,
but
you'll catch up.
No, for sure.
It's been a year.
It's weird. I won't say names, but I showed up to the Badlands Terran 3U's birthday party for a Friday Nights or a Drag, like 2 or 3 weeks ago, I guess it was now.
Yeah, 3 weeks ago.
And I had met a performer that I had only like interacted with online for the first time. And they came up to me and they were like, oh, have you ever performed at Badlands? And I was like, yes, many times.
Yeah.
So it was just so weird, like meeting someone who didn't know like my standing in the community. And I know. Sounds like arrogant. I'm like,
I'll say
you don't know who I am.
I'll say it. You do have so here. I've talked about it on the show, and I just mentioned it to you. When people ask me like, oh, like describe the drag community in Sacramento, I would say there are Monday performers, Sunday performers, and Friday performers, and not one is better. It's not better to be one than the other. They're all valid performers. It just is, where is your skill set? Where's the bar for your skill set? And your Friday is the highest, because the Friday is a drag show. Is
their big night.
It's the biggest.
And it wasn't me being like, oh, you don't know who I am. It was not that at all. It was just so weird to like meet somebody and not have them, know that I'm a performer in general. And that's just testament to the pandemic. You know, like I decided to self-isolate for a very long time, and that was my choice. It's not like I'm offended that someone doesn't know who I am at all. It was almost just funny, you know. It's like to see someone come in during the pandemic and see the scene in such a different standing than it was prior. It was just, you know, it was funny. It made me feel like a new girl again, which was kind of cool. I was like, oh yeah, nice to meet you. Like, yes, I've performed here before, but it doesn't matter anymore because we hit reset and we're all starting from ground zero again. So, you know, it was humbling.
Yeah. I'll say that anybody that only has, and I'll use someone that I'm fond of. Not that I'm not fond of anyone that may have come up to you at the Taryn's birthday show, but we have a bar back, Michael, and when he worked a couple shows and he worked at the bar a little bit before the pandemic, but he's been working all the brunches, and I think it was February. He said to me, and I'm gonna give a little background to you and anyone that's watching. So I had Deja Sky on, and I was being my own worst critic, as I often am, and she checked me so hard and was like, "No, you are every bit the performer you perform with." And I was like, "Okay," but I'm throwing back to February, so I can talk negatively about myself because I promised her I wouldn't. Michael was like, "Oh, you're one of the best." And I was like, "No, baby, no. You've only seen 5 drag queens perform, like, ever. Wait until you see more. And you can still have that opinion if you want, but I'd like it to be informed at least."
Yeah, and just to segue for a second, too, because I want to give credit where credit is due. You know, the 5 of you that did work through all of this have gotten a lot of heat for continuing to work during the pandemic because it is taboo to be out in public right now. But I just want to thank you and all of you because we might not have a club to come back to if it wasn't for you guys, you know, doing everything in your power to keep it going and keep it alive as safely as you possibly could. You know, it is you saved your community and you saved these venues that have been here forever, and because of you guys, they will continue to be here. You know, I don't think you guys have received that praise from the community, but, you know, I just thank you, you know, for keeping this all alive, because it could have easily just all gone away, and it didn't.
So I'm not performing in the show with you tonight at Sidetracks, but I'm still going to be there, so let's not make me cry all my mascara off and my eyeliner. But you're welcome, and thank you for saying that. Do you want to name the others? Just you don't have
know
to.
Taryn, Apple, you, Helen. I'm trying to think who's been on the roster. There's so many people.
Merc.
Yeah, Mercury. There's been it's been a rotating group of people for sure. So I don't want to name names and leave anyone out.
No, sure.
We've all stepped in and done our part.
But I think if you're talking about people that have kind of, I'll definitely echo with Taryn, someone who's put in a lot of sweat and blood just to keep things pumping.
Yeah. And it was not easy, and you guys took a lot of heat for it. But at the end of the day, it was like, you had bills to pay, the club had bills to pay, and it wasn't like our government was going to step in and, save any of us.
No.
So it was like, you did what you had to do, and you all did it as safely as you possibly could, and throughout this whole thing, nobody, nothing bad came of it, You guys took the right steps to make sure it was done safely, and because of that, we've come out of this alive.
And I know Taryn and I worked really hard because we'd see other shows and we'd see people snatching tips with their hands and no mask, and it's like, we're just starting to come out, so we're getting, I think, just fatigue, really, just performer fatigue. We just want to be back in people's grills, you know. But we're still spacing the audience. We have someone going around collecting tips. we'd get mad. We'd get so mad when we'd see other shows where people were just snatching, and then we'd have a performer come in and just go right up and grind on someone, and we were like, hey, even if that's your roommate, even if that's your boyfriend, even if that's your
it sets a tone.
It's visual, it's
Exactly.
optics, you know, and people don't know that. And I'll be the first to admit that in the last couple weeks, there are people that I have seen week in, week out, and I'll pop them on the wear a hat, and I'll pop them on the bill. But that's the most I'm doing, you know, is just popping them on the bill because people are watching.
Mhm.
But thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you.
No, I'm gonna not cry. I'll wait until we leave, and then I'll cry at Sidetracks tonight while I'm thanking you. Okay.
Back on track. Sorry,
it's
I
hard.
segued.
No, it's okay. I just that's just such a really nice thing to hear. And there was a little bit of hate, so it's nice to hear someone I consider whether or not you're being recognized out in the community as a pillar of the community. It's really nice to hear a pillar of the community recognize us for that.
Yeah.
But we're glad you're back.
I'm glad to be back for sure.
If for nothing else than to reset a skewed perception that's out there.
Right.
So you were here when I filmed with Rosalia.
Yes.
And we kind of have this ongoing discussion about I'm like sniffling now. About performer entitlement.
Mm-hmm.
And it started. So I had you on. I think I just looked it up. Episode 3, you were on, and now this is episode 59 of my show.
Crazy.
I know, but episode 50 with Apple Adams. You can look it up. It's on in YouTube. Sometimes I aside to the audience like Parker Lewis.
Yeah.
So that shows my age. Whoops. Performer entitlement, Apple, and we talked about it. And then I had Helen on, and we talked about it. And then I had Deja on, and we talked about it. Precious Cargo, Clifton's talked about it. Rosalia and I talked about it. Chelsea and I have talked about it because it exists in both worlds.
Mm-hmm.
What's your thought on performer entitlement?
There's definitely a lot more of it nowadays. I think it was Rosie that said all drag is valid, but not all drag is, good to go.
It was. It shook me because I was like, oh shit, I need to ask her.
And that I guess is a controversial statement. Shouldn't be.
It's not.
It shouldn't be, but
it's not though. It's only controversial from people who can't handle it.
And it's not just applicable to drag. Like it's applicable in all mediums.
Yeah.
There's definitely a lot of people that come onto the scene and immediately they're like, I'm a drag artist. Where's my booking? And when I came onto the scene, it was like I went to shows and I supported the shows, not because I wanted to be on the shows, but because I was like in love with drag and in love with the community. And that energy doesn't exist for some of these performers. They step into the club once and they're like, okay, well, I did my part. I supported, like, where's my booking? And it's like, you have to make an effort to like get to know your community and respect your community. And by all means, like, show up to the club and drag if you're not booked, but don't sit on the sidelines lip syncing and trying to get attention from the audience. Don't, roll onto the stage in a fucking somersault to collect someone's tips and then follow them up the stairs, trying to like showboat and get your like moment on stage, because I've seen that shit and it's exhausting. It's like when I go to a show, I want to watch the performers and give them my undivided attention. And when there's some little, drag monster in the corner just like me, it's like, you're not supporting your community. You're here for yourself.
Yeah, you're leeching.
You are here to get attention. And there is a way to walk into the club and drag and command full attention of the room without demanding it. Someone that comes to mind is Relentless. Very soft-spoken person. I've never seen Relentless try to be like, oh, pick me. But that bitch can walk into a club, look so snatched and beautiful, and just fucking sit in a chair. And all night I'll just be like, oh my God, she looks so good. And she's not doing anything. She's not lip syncing. She's not grabbing people's tips. She's not hopping on stage trying to get attention. She is just being respectful, looking amazing, and creating an atmosphere in the club that makes you want to be in the club.
I mean, it does help with Relentless that she looks amazing.
I always.
I mean, that's.
But for me, when I came into drag, the world of drag, she was one of the first people that I saw in the club that I was like, I want to be like her. She doesn't need to, be so wild to get attention. She just looks good and walks in just with this poise and confidence, and it is so powerful. It speaks volumes over anybody who's in the corner, dancing and lip syncing when they're not supposed to be. So it just comes down to like, if you're professional and you're doing your best to look your best, you'll get the attention naturally.
Well, and the crazy thing is, let's say you are a little boogery drag monster, right? Because we're not all Relentless. We're not all you.
Right.
Some of us are me. I hope Deja's not watching that part.
I don't think she is.
But the thing that like I would notice at this point if somebody came in, I'd notice. And then I'd notice behavior. And I would notice it if it was negative, and I would notice it if it was neutral, which is positive in that setting. And if you're not taking away and you're just there to support, you see it. We as the artists on stage don't need you to wave a flag and somersault in to collect tips and follow us. Like, we got it. You're there.
I can read your intentions when you're in the club.
Right.
I can tell if you're there for yourself or if you're there for the show. And that is the first indicator of performer entitlement. Because those same people who showboat and roll around the stage and lip sync on the sidelines are the first ones to say, well, where's my booking? Because I deserve it, because I was here supporting. And because my drag is valid, because I showed up in drag.
Or sometimes it's, I've done drag. I wear a wig, look at Instagram. Where's my booking? Sometimes it's not even I was in the club. And it's like, and
that's even worse.
Right.
It's like, so you put a wig on, you're probably still sitting there in your like boxer shorts and t-shirt, but you did your face, so kudos to you for doing that. That's and you threw a wig on. And you took a picture and it got a couple hundred likes, which is, that's awesome, and Bijou Bentley, one of the things that, she always talks about is, because she's got a really huge social media following, and, a lot of people credit her for being like an Instagram queen. But she came from a scene that was pretty much non-existent, and her developing a social media brand and an online presence was the only way for her to, feel validated and have a drag career to start. So I don't knock social media in any way, shape, or form, because it's a great way to put yourself out in the world. But like any art form, drag does not solely exist on Instagram. There is a world of drag that exists in nightclubs and at bars and venues. And, if you think because you posted on Instagram and you got all this attention that puts you first in line for a booking, you've got a lot of learning to do. And like I was saying earlier, it's like there's two sides to it. Yes, your art is valid. Your artistic path is ever changing, ever growing. You will get better. You will learn more as an artist, but your professionalism has to be separate from that.
It is,
and has to be, equally ever changing, and you have to be professional.
And that's something I was actually talking to Taryn about last night. Is there are some performers who don't understand that this is a business.
Mm-hmm.
You are a business.
Right.
And don't make it harder for me to work with you.
Mm-hmm.
However that is. If that's music's got to be in by this time, don't make me wait for it.
Mm-hmm. And I think another thing too is like, and I will tread lightly, is like, you know, people feel that they are being, you know, targeted, or there's an injustice, or there is, you know, a conspiracy against them, and they will take it to a public forum like Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or whatever, and immediately blast the person that they think they have a problem with. And, you know, it changes the entire atmosphere of the club. It changes the dynamic professionally beyond people, because then you're forced to choose sides. And like, don't get me wrong, I've definitely taken to social media like some local injustices, and I've called people out, but I did everything in my power in private forum and behind closed doors to make sure that, you know, is this really a conspiracy against me? What is my role in this? You know, and trying to look at it objectively and have a conversation with that person, you know, and just say like, hey, I feel like you've got something against me and you're not booking me because of it. And having a conversation and being able to accept criticism and critique if that person, you know, has said, you know, you've come to the show and you are unprofessional, you are loud, you tried to take attention away from the performers, and to be able to hear that and not take it personally and not get offended and say, you know, I wasn't even aware that I was doing that. I loved that song. I forgot I was in drag, and I was just over there like performing my heart out because I was feeling the music, you know. And that's just like a total like example. That's not a specific scenario that ever happened, but it's like, you know,
there are other things that people need to accept, like
right, and you just have to communicate,
right,
and be able to accept someone else's point of view without being a victim. And sometimes you are the victim. There's been times where I'm like, I'm the victim. I you know, but you have to make that conclusion, you know, logically and based on a conversation with that person. You can't just get an inkling, hop online and stir shit up because you feel like you didn't get a booking and it's because this and this.
Yeah, no, I mean, as a theater kid, I learned to take all criticism, like I learned to listen to all critiques and criticism.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean I need to follow it or change what I'm doing.
Right.
But it's worth hearing, because some of it might be right, some of it might be helpful, even if they didn't mean it to be. Some of it might be something I never thought about, that someone else had one little nugget of an idea. So it's worth listening to.
All the time. And if you can't be an artist without accepting or hearing what people have to say about it, you know, maybe being in such a public setting is not right for you. You know, and that's hard. You know, as an artist, you know, we face a lot of critics, including ourselves. And it's like, the last thing you want to hear when you get off stage is someone say, baby, you shouldn't have done that. But sometimes you have to hear that.
Well, yeah, and I'd rather hear that. Maybe not in that moment.
Right.
But I'd rather hear that than nothing.
And don't let it end you. You know, I hear so many people come backstage and they're like, well, I hated it. Fuck it. I'm done. You know, and they're mad, and it's the end of the night, and that's it for them, you know, and then they take a break from drag and come back 6 months later. You know, I've seen that, and it's like, as an artist and a performer, there will be lows. I've had lows, you know. I've gotten off the stage in tears and sat in the dressing room bawling and never wanted to do drag again. And then the next day, you have the best show you've ever had, and you make $500 in tips. Everyone loves you, and your Instagram mentions are going crazy the next morning, and you feel all validated again after just being at the lowest of lows. So as an artist, you have to accept that, like, with those super, super lows come really amazing highs. And it's not linear. You know, it's not like you know, oh, this sucks, and then it all gets better.
Right. Tomorrow will be better because today sucked. No, you might
Right,
have tomorrow
you
might suck
have
too.
You might have the worst day ever, and someone might say you sucked, and you might know you sucked, but you might come back the next week and fucking kill it, you know? So don't let somebody's criticism derail your progress, you know? And I don't know.
Okay,
Yeah.
so a couple things. First of all, you do have standing because you mentioned a couple things that I'm like, oh, I don't know what that's like. A couple hundred likes on Instagram. Don't know what that's like. I think I posted one the other day. It was me looking actually very put together. Got 104, and I was like, oh, look at that, 100, triple digits.
Yeah. Let's celebrate that.
But you gotta. I was talking to another artist friend of mine who wants to do something, and was like, oh, you know, if there's not like 8,000 likes, then I'm a failure. And I was like, but you haven't started yet.
Right.
You're gonna start with 8,000 likes.
I do that to myself all the time. You know, I'm 2 records into my music career, and I've got people asking me, why don't you have a music video? And for me, I always am like, if I can't have $1 million budget on the set, I don't want to do it. Because it's either got to be the best or I'm not doing it. And I know that sounds so stupid and ridiculous, and I just need to, like, make a music video. But, you know, referencing back to the conversation with how media and the culture is right now, especially before the pandemic, people are consuming such high volumes of content that the best of the best is all they'll accept. So
Well, they get bored with anything
I get
less.
the fear of, like, if I can't be the best of the best, I don't want to do it. You know, because it's hard to go through that, like, booger stage, you know, and know that, yeah, I'm, you know, kind of the underdog, bottom of the barrel, you know, it sucks. But, you know, as an artist, like, you have to have those highs and lows, or it's not authentic.
That's accurate. You also mentioned a couple, like $500 in tips. That not everyone experiences that.
That's only happened to
Well, but
it's not like a regular thing. I've definitely had my nights where I'm like, cool, $4. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's some nuggets.
Well, and since brunch has
You
been
know?
going on, like, you know, I've had days that I was like, oh, wow.
Mhm.
But that's me telling you that you are that bitch. I mean, there are multiple that bitches, you know.
Yeah.
in
Well, I've
Sacramento.
definitely had my moments where I'm like, yes, I am that bitch. I feel it.
Oh,
I
yeah.
feel. But like anybody else, I have those, like, just deep, dark, depressing lows. You know,
Mhm.
I don't want to go into, like, any specifics, but, like, I had a night that was really bad, and it ended with a comment from someone that I still think of as a friend. And I don't think they meant anything by it, but it was just like a small comment about my standing in the lineup. And I had already had a rough day. You know, my second number, I got on stage and everything I had planned was like, wait, what? And so I was already, you know, shaken, and I got backstage, and this person said this to me. And I got in the car and I cried like a little baby. And I just remember that being, like, such a low for me, and I wanted to quit. And so to anybody out there who's listening, you know, you're not alone in those lows. Every single artist has them. Some people choose to be authentic about it and talk about it, and other people have too much, you know, ego or too much, you know, desire for self-preservation to go there. But, you know, nothing that you see is always what it is, especially, like, online. If you see someone on Instagram who's, you think that they are just, like, riding the wave and doing incredibly well, and everything is 100% 100% for them all the time. That's not the case. They're picking and choosing what is presented to the world. So yeah, just ride the highs, appreciate the lows, and the lows will make you more grateful for the highs. So
You don't know what a high is without the low.
exactly.
And, you know, I've had my $4 performances.
We all have.
Here's an interesting question. How do you know whose advice to take and whose not to take?
That is a really good question. I think you can take advice from anybody. They don't necessarily have to be at your level to have something important to say.
Oh no, yeah.
You know, for example, like Woo Woo Minro is someone that I had never really worked with. I met her and performed with her, I think now maybe 2 times. But the first time I had worked with her, the way she was putting on her wig, I just remember being like, oh, whoa. I never thought about doing it like that. You know, she like put a pad of foam under her wig cap to like bump her head up and make all her wigs look more voluminous. And I was like, why do you do that? How do you do that? You know? And it was like, this wasn't necessarily someone that I had like looked up to for a long time because I didn't even know who she was, you know? But it's just being able to like take bits and pieces of advice and knowledge from all walks of life and all performers and artists, because, you know, everyone has a different approach to everything. And it's like, you know, I might work with someone that I'm like, oh, she's a booger. But then I'll watch how she, you know, puts her pads on, or I'll watch how she cinches herself. I'm like, oh, I never thought of doing it like that. That would make my life a lot easier. And then I do it like that. You know, and maybe necessarily I'm a better performer than her, but I didn't think about that, so I can adopt that. You know, ask questions. You know, if you see something that you're like, what are you doing? That looks really efficient and cool, and I would like to do that. Ask, do it. You know, you can learn from anybody and everybody. There's no, like I said earlier, there's no rules when it comes to how you approach your art. There's rules about how you conduct yourself when portraying your art, but, you know, the process is ever changing, and, you know, I've met people that I totally admire and learn stuff from them and have taught them things, and then I have met people that are not necessarily at the same level as me that I've learned things from and that I've been able to teach them. So it's just about, you know, the give and take. And if you're looking out for your community, you know, everyone should reap the benefits of those skills and knowledge that everyone brings to the table.
What if there's advice out there that you think might be detrimental to you? How do you know whether to ignore that or take it?
It's a good question. I mean, it's very circumstantial. Because I've definitely had people tell me things where I'm like, well, you're wrong. No. Or not necessarily you're wrong, but it's like, well, that's your point of view. You know, for an example, I don't want to say names again, but, you know, when certain performers, you know, say, you should dance more. I've gotten that a lot from different people. And it's like, you know, yeah, okay, you know, maybe I could implement a little bit of this and that into what I'm doing. But I feel that I'm doing well for myself. I enjoy my performance style. I watch my videos back, and I, you know, 90% of the time I'm like, oh, cool, that looked good. You know, so sometimes it's not, it's like, you know, I'm not a dancer. I'm not a professionally trained dancer. I'm not gonna just like take that advice to heart and completely change my approach to my performance.
Well, and you got to where you got not relying on dancing.
Right.
So to change everything you do, and go away from what has gotten you here.
Right.
And of course you can implement it. So
Exactly.
in the dressing room today, your performance at the sleigh ground came up when you surprised everyone with dancing.
Mhm.
You had it in your back pocket.
Right.
You don't do it all the time though.
Right.
So I think it people didn't know you could do it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good to have it, but
Totally. And it's good to be well-rounded and learn lots of skills, especially in drag, because like I said before, drag is like the all-encompassing art form. You know, you got to be funny, you got to be cute, you got to know how to, you know, pop a couple dance moves here and there. So yeah, if someone tells me, you know, you need to have better costumes or you need to dance more, it's like, well, yeah, of course I could do a whole lot of stuff better. But, you know, so could you. So, you know, it's just a matter of, you know, everyone brings something different to the table. Like, appreciate it and, you know, continue to grow where you feel you need to grow. And if someone is coming from a place where they think you need to change something, you know, analyze that. Don't necessarily take it to heart. You can take it to heart a little, but I don't know.
It's so. You said something, and I got lost. I had a follow up, but yeah, people. There's room for everybody,
Totally.
and that's something you've said. I'm quoting you.
Yeah, no, there is room for everybody. And I don't know if you want to talk about it later or whatever, but you know, I think a lot of people, especially now coming back after the pandemic, are a little insecure about their standing in the community. And with that insecurity comes, you know, trying to knock others down a peg to establish yourself or establish your standing. And to me, there's room for everyone. You know, it's like I can serve a look, I can, you know, give a campy number, and maybe there's a performer on the lineup who doesn't do that, but she can come out and fucking death drop and flip around and vogue the house down. And it's like, I don't do that, but you do that. So it's a good thing we're on the same lineup.
Right, because we don't want four death droppers, just like we don't want four look cute, give good performance with no dancingers.
Right, exactly.
Although you and me and Apple were in the same show today, so we're pushing it with 3.
Right. If Rosie was there, it would be...
it'd
be over.
But you know what? Even then, it's 4 very different performance styles and 4 very different performers. That's something I've noticed, and this existed before the pandemic, but definitely in the pandemic, I'm getting a lot of, and I've said this on the show verbatim, people saying like, "Oh, I can do what Mercury can do." First of all, you can't. No one can.
Right.
No one except Mercury.
And that shouldn't be your goal.
And right. Even if it's not Mercury, it shouldn't be your goal to be someone else.
Like, appreciate someone for what they bring to the table. You don't have to aspire to be that. And that was something I learned in music, you know, because when I was really young, I would write a song that would literally just be a copy-paste of a song that I liked. And I would show somebody and they'd be like, that's literally this song. You just ripped off the whole song. And I was like, yeah, but I mean, like, I like that vibe, so I went for that vibe. And you know, just through trial and error and writing lots of music, I eventually learned, like, yeah, there's artists that I love and respect and will listen to, but I don't sound like them. I don't want to sound like them. I want to sound like myself. You know, and I can still love and appreciate someone else's music, and they can still love and respect me, but we don't have to bring the same thing to the table.
Oh yeah, I mean, just to use drag, I'll say with me, I love and respect everything Taryn does, but I can't do it.
Right.
And I'm not gonna. That's not my skill set.
Yeah.
So that reminded me of a couple things. So the first one was, you said if someone said to you, you could use a better costume, I'd like that person to get their eyes checked. I don't know what they're talking about when they're talking to you.
I've had some rusty moments. Don't get me wrong. You know, when you're trying to push content out every other weekend, it's like you're gonna have a booger costume every once in a while. So, I mean, I definitely don't always look perfect. I'm sure someone is watching this right now, reading me, you know, her bangs are cut too blunt and they're too jagged, and you know her left lash is wonky. I don't always look perfect, girl.
No, you don't look perfect, but if someone's reading a lash, they're trying too hard. Because and that's something else that I've talked to a lot of people about during the pandemic. It's not, if you're spending more time obsessing over other performers, maybe they're doing something right, and maybe you should figure out what you can do to do your own thing right. Because if you're too deep in on somebody else's faults, yeah, or whatever you might perceive as faults, first of all, you're spending way too much time on that person, like, for thinking, because you're only going to do that with somebody that you want what they have, right? You're not gonna spend that much time with someone that you don't care about,
right?
So stop trying to figure out,
right? Because if I genuinely thought you were below me and I did not have the time of day for you, I wouldn't spend my time.
No,
I wouldn't sit there attacking somebody or saying something to somebody if I thought they weren't worth my time.
You'd say that's a booger, I'm moving on.
Exactly.
How does she put her hip pads on? Is it efficient?
Right. Right.
Can I learn?
I could learn from that booger.
Right.
I'm sure that booger did something cool. But, you know.
The other thing you said that kind of jogged my memory was acknowledging, like, when you do have a bad number, a bad day. And I think I might have talked about it when you and Rosie were here 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, when I had my Make-A-Wish day. Did I mention that? Okay, yeah. Sometimes, and my goal has been to get less and less of those.
Right.
You know? And I think that's another thing that kind of, I've been around for a while now, and that's something that kind of bugs me, is Fridays are a drag meant a lot to, like, see that show, to be on that show. The performances in that show were so good, and I just got to do my first Friday that day, Taryn's birthday, and it's still, I felt very prestigious. I felt very glossy for getting to do that.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think a lot of people don't really have respect for the spots they might get. They just want a spot. And there's one I want. Right. There's one I want. I want that one because I see it. And it's like, oh, maybe this is one that people have waited for years to get.
Yeah, you've waited for years.
Well, yes.
You've worked tirelessly for a very long time. And so, you know, if someone has a problem with, like, you having a spot, it's like, you know, at what point do we decide someone has paid their dues?
That's an interesting concept.
You know, because, you know, people talk about it in the form of years, and it's like, you know, I could do drag for 6 years and only step out 3 times, but I've done drag for 6 years, so where's my booking? You know? But it's like, I could do drag for 4 months and do drag every single day for 4 months, and it's like, I put in more hours. I put in more effort. I care more. I love this more than you do. You know?
That is an analogy I make with comedy all the time.
So it's like you paid your dues in the form of, you know, minutes, hours, passion, and, you know, practice.
Thank you.
You know? And like, yes to you, but, like, in general, like, you know, everyone pays their dues in different ways.
Absolutely. And it's what do you say to somebody who is like, oh, I deserve to be in a Friday show. I deserve to be in brunch. I deserve to be in the showcase.
And say why. Tell me why you think you deserve that. You know, like, and you don't have to prove yourself to me. I'm not the one booking you on the show. But it's like, why do you deserve that spot over somebody else who's really proven themselves? You know, and not to say that there's not room for you.
Right.
At all, because I said that earlier. You know, there's room for everyone.
There is.
There really is. But there's room for people that have the drive, passion, and willingness to put in the hours.
But with room for everyone, you also have to trust the bookers. You know,
Mhm.
they're booking a show for a reason,
Right.
and if they're booking the show a specific way, it's probably for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And they know what the audience likes, and they I don't know that it's. I have a friend, and you met her today. She would like to be non-binary friend.
Mhm.
They would like to be a drag king, and we were all saying like, oh, you know, do a song for everybody, do a song for you. That's a great way to kind of get in what you want to do
Mm-hmm.
without completely sacrificing.
Your artistic integrity.
Right, but also making sure the audience, because I think a lot of people the people who want the spots that are like, I deserve it, but like, do they? I don't know if they understand that the audience needs to like you.
Yeah.
And if the audience doesn't like you,
There's
what's your value to the show?
right.
Because
And that's where it gets. You're walking that fine line between like, what do you bring to the table on a professional level, and what do you bring to the table on an artistic level. And that's that on that.
okay. I cannot keep you too late. It's
I mean, I could talk for hours.
oh, I know you could, but and I could too, absolutely, especially with you. It's 13-7, so I want to make sure I get you back to
Oh,
the showcase.
Okay.
Yeah. I was keeping an eye on that because
Okay.
I have to get back to do the tips, but you're
Right.
performing, so
Yes.
I have to get you back, or I'll be in trouble with people.
Yes, it's all
Um,
your fault.
I mean, #blame Suzette. Okay, so last time you were here, I asked you some rapid fire questions.
Sure.
I think I only am going to ask ones that may have changed
Mm-hmm.
or ones that weren't there last time.
Okay.
So it'll be quick.
Okay.
But thank you, before I get into that, thank you so much for immensely kind things you said. And also just being here after a long brunch day before you have a lot of people might want to go home and take a nap.
Yeah.
So thank you for spending time this afternoon.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
No, my pleasure. Do you have a favorite LGBTQ activist?
Ooh, I feel on the spot about that.
We can come back.
Locally, like I guess like anybody in CGNIE, Taryn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can answer however you want.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of really incredible activists in the community. Do Me More. I know she's like incredibly active. Anybody who's just involved in their community, on a local level, I guess that's who I would say. Taryn or Do Me.
Yeah, but I mean that's just as important as being famous and being an activist.
Mhm.
You know, because if you don't do it locally, then you never get the famous ones.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite item on the gay agenda?
What is the gay agenda?
So most people treat this as a joke question, right? Like, my favorite item on the gay agenda: brunch, or day drinking, or glitter.
Oh yeah, the requirement of brunch.
Right. Some
I
people
hate glitter. No glitter.
So your least favorite item on the gay agenda.
Yeah, is glitter.
Some people take this really seriously though. Like I'm trying to remember who it was. There was a church, there was a Tower Records in a hometown.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck, I can't remember who this was. It was recent, and somebody was a homophobic pastor bought the Tower Records because it went out of business. He's trying to convert the gay mecca of the city into a church, and it was like,
Mm-hmm.
so they I get serious ones, and then I get like I said, day drinking.
Yeah.
So yours is you're gonna go with a negative. Your least favorite is no glitter.
I hate glitter. I concur with brunch.
Okay,
I think brunch
is great.
Good item. Yeah.
You know what else you hate, and I forgot
Huh.
until I watched our episode. The WWE style belts.
Oh yes.
that are
Oh yes.
corsets.
Those are terrible.
And
They're
I
not
think-
corsets.
I think
They're
I called
not.
it a borset because I combined belt and corset, and
Yeah.
that's about what it should sound like.
Mhm.
Yeah, if you're wearing one, we should get to say, "Oh, look at Suzette, she's in a borset."
Right.
Yeah, but our connection was choppy on the Zoom, so it didn't come through. Borset didn't come through. I had to fit it in today.
Yeah.
Which do you think the COVID-19 pandemic has affected more, the gay dating scene or the straight dating scene?
Oh God, these are hard questions. This is not good rapid fire. I know nothing about straight people, so gay people, the gay dating scene.
Okay.
Although I don't think gay people really give a shit.
So
about-
straight people.
I think a lot of gay people were like, "Yeah, I don't care about COVID. Let's hook up."
Okay.
So I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
That's fair. That's fair. And you know, these are funny because with these rapid fire questions, some people blaze through them. Sometimes it's the longest part of the episode.
No, yeah.
Helen was like, I'll come to your show if we can do it in an hour or less. I was like, okay, 61 minutes, done with my questions. I was like, do you want to do rapid fire? I got you done in 61 minutes. She was like, sure, let's do rapid fire. Another 45 minutes. I was like, girl, these go as fast as you want.
Right.
This isn't even me.
Right.
Favorite position. Okay, this is funny given your last answer.
Okay.
You know nothing about straight people. Favorite position to imagine straight people having sex in.
I've had straight sex.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I think missionary is kind of funny. Either way, gay or straight. Just because I remember seeing like a diagram of like a rotisserie chicken being compared to like missionary sex. I'm like, okay, yeah.
Okay.
So I think that's pretty funny across the board.
Yeah. See, I told you you're funny. DC or Marvel?
Ugh.
I think that's your answer. Yeah.
Neither.
The ugh. Who's your favorite comedian?
Suzette Veneti, of course.
Oh God, I don't know if I deserve that.
My favorite comedian. I don't know. I don't want to answer that because I feel like a lot of comedians that I liked growing up ended up having some real skeletons in their closet. So I'm like, yeah, no.
Okay.
Oh.
Skeletons in their closet, or
just being problematic.
Or well, I was gonna say, or they're like, so Eddie Murphy, obviously, his two specials from the '80s, aren't really appropriate by today's standards. You know, there was a lot of topics that he touched on that nowadays we'd cringe. So you're saying, but skeletons in the closet. So like, oh, I like that comedian until, you know, it came out that he was like capturing children and forcing them to build clothes.
Or just like the content of their comedy was
Okay.
not, it didn't age well.
That's hard though with comedy, I'll say.
Yeah.
And you do comedic numbers, so I think you can understand like sometimes something is appropriate in the moment and then you learn it's not.
Yeah. I really like I don't know if Sofia Vergara like considers herself a comedian.
I would say she is one.
I like her. I'm just trying to think of comedians that like can be wholesome and like not piss people off while still being funny. Because there's not a lot of that.
I don't know what you're doing next Saturday night when I'm headlining a show.
Yeah, I want to come.
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to be wholesome, and also like I'm gonna try to toe that line.
Yeah.
Of like adult jokes, but kid friendly.
Right.
Not that there are kids coming, but that's my goal lately.
Yeah.
Okay, this one I asked you last time. I want to see if your answer's changed. Your favorite drag queen.
It's so hard because I immediately I want to like think on a local level, but then I don't know. What did I say last time?
I know I cheated.
This is so hard. I'm like brain dead right now. I want to say Relentless just because we were talking about her earlier and I'm like, she's so good.
Okay, that's different than your last
It's totally
answer.
different. I know I didn't say
Yeah,
Relentless
you
last
did
time.
not.
But I'm like just like thinking in terms of like local queens, I'm like, I love Relentless. I love Tearing Through You. Yeah, I don't know. What did I say before? Sasha Velour or something?
You said you.
I said me? Oh, that's so cringy. Delete it. I did not say that.
You did.
Oh, that's so bad.
But it came across in a way like if you don't love yourself, you know, that's how it came across.
Sounds like I was equally as stumped last time, and that was my self-absorbed generic answer.
I You're one of my favorites. So if you're one of your favorites too, I got no qualms.
I don't know. Like I said before, I'm like my harshest critic. So sometimes I am my favorite, and sometimes I want nothing to do with me. So
A year of reflection has changed. your
yeah,
answer.
no, maybe perhaps I'm a little more humble now. Apparently,
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
This one I didn't ask. Do you have a favorite drag king?
ooh, Spade Ransom locally is amazing. Just full fantasy. Every time I've seen Spade perform, it's just like jeweled suits and dressed to the nines and like towing that line of like masculinity with like that touch of femininity that is just so, you know, grand and over the top. Landon Cider is obviously excellent if we're looking at it on a more on a bigger map. Yeah, I don't know. Locally, Spade Ransom and Landon Cider, I think, set a really good precedent for the world of drag kings.
And Spade Ransom is in a show next Saturday.
Really?
Yeah. So if anyone out there is like, let me check out Spade
Yeah,
Ransom.
I don't even know if Spade Ransom knows who I am either, because I've seen Spade Ransom perform like 3 times. And every time I don't even think we got to like meet. But I just remember like him being a standout to me.
I've never even seen Spade perform, and I have this high regard for him just from the people that I hold in high regard, having high regard for Spade.
Yeah, it's just full fantasy. You know, and we've talked about that, you know, in terms of whether you're a drag king or a drag queen. I try to venture away from either term, honestly. I usually will go with drag artist. Just because for me, my drag has never sat on the gender spectrum. I chose a very androgynous name. I oftentimes present more feminine, but I don't identify as a woman in drag or out of drag. And I think, you know, for me, I love when I see a performer that, you know, it isn't necessarily you're a woman or you're a man, but I'm here and you're here and we're in the moment and you're so captivating. And, you know, the fluidity of gender, you know, doesn't need to take away from the fantasy of the performance. Like, you know, Prince, for example, was not like a manly man, but was such a man, you know? Like, it was just so, like, you didn't care that he was, like, in eyeliner wearing women's blouses, but, like, it was just Prince, and you were in love with Prince as a package, you know? And it's, like, that's what I personally look for in drag performances is, like, I don't care if you are, you know, what's the word, anatomically presenting one way or the other. It's like, I just want to see you fucking deliver.
Gender conforming.
And you should be wearing a costume that you put effort into, and, you know, you have big shoulders, whether you're presenting as a man or a woman. Like, big shoulders are cool, and big hair and jewels and stones and glitter. And well, we hate glitter, but, you know,
But if someone's giving glitter, you appreciate
right,
it.
just like there is always an opportunity to amp it up, you know, drive it home and sell the moment. So, you know, I love and respect any drag performer that, you know, puts a lot of effort into their craft and doesn't, you know, walk on stage wearing, you know, the shoes they just wore to work.
I thought about doing that today. I didn't. It would have fit the number. It only when it fits the number.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it's part of the fantasy.
Right. Sell it. Whatever it is, sell it. You know, because I've definitely had numbers where, you know, I do a number as Samara from The Ring, and it is definitely not my most glamorous moment. You know, I come out barefoot. I come out in a nasty dress that I will literally drag through the mud outside of the nightclub before I perform the number. You know, and it's like I'm on stage and I live in that character for 3.5 minutes, and I sell that fantasy that I am Samara from The Ring. So whatever the fantasy is, it doesn't need to be this or that. Just be in the moment and devote yourself to whatever you are presenting.
And present something. Give me substance.
Substance.
Don't be an Instagram queen and just come out and stand there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I just had to say that.
Yeah.
All right, this one is purely just to inflate my ego. But you already said when I said favorite comic, you said me.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna go ahead and ask just because. Do you have you might give a funny answer. Do you have a favorite drag princess?
Well, there's only one.
I think so.
You're the current reigning forever and always drag princess.
I asked Apple and she was like, "Oh, Chi Rodriguez," and I was like, "You bitch."
Oh, yeah, I guess.
Like,
yeah.
She dug deep for that.
Yeah, that was very niche reference there on her part.
Well, I mean, within the community.
Yeah, and this whole interview, I feel like I've been so like, my pool of reference is so local right now that I'm like, I can't even think of people out in the world right now. I'm like, I don't know. Tearing through you.
Is your favorite drag princess?
Relentless.
Yeah.
It's just like everyone that I'm like pulling, I'm like, well, I just worked with this person, or I just saw this person, you know, because they're fresh in my mind.
But what a bookend for the interview, right? Because we talked about how the audience, you know, bombarded with Drag Race UK, Drag Race Australia, Drag Race Barcelona, Drag Race Toledo, Drag Race, you know, Poughkeepsie.
It's everywhere.
Yeah, and I don't know if I said that right, but Poughkeepsie. I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna move on. And now it's like they're appreciating their local performers.
Mm-hmm.
They're there. They're tangible. They can
Yeah.
see them win. They can see them lose. So you're just the same.
Yeah,
You know, we are ourselves lovers of drag and connoisseurs of it and consumers of it.
Yeah. And I've just been trying so hard to be present in my community, you know, because there is so much to look at in the world now. And it's like, I'm trying to stop and look at the world right in front of my face and appreciate it and respect it and, you know, grow with it. So, yeah. I apologize if any of my answers were disappointing. If you who's your favorite drag queen?
Not at all. You said Relentless and Taryn. Like,
Yeah.
If anyone has
And that's ever changing, so if I didn't say your name out there and
well, I've asked
don't
you,
take offense. The
you know,
answer
twice
changes.
now, a year apart, and you've named 3 people who are all great.
Yeah.
So, okay. You know, and I don't know what to do because we have 9 days left of the pandemic. The last question is always, what do you want to do most?
Well, are they is the 15th like the end of the pandemic?
Oh, it's like go back to normal day. I don't know if it's the end of the pandemic.
Oh, God. That is so weird to think about.
Last time you were on the show, I said I can't wait till we're in person so I can buy you a Crown and Coke. I don't know if you want one
Ooh,
tonight
yes,
still.
yes.
Okay, yeah. Let's, when we get back to the club.
Absolutely.
I got you. It's always, what are you looking most forward to? It's over-ish. Like, it's almost done. So I'm just going to not ask that. Right.
Yeah,
Hopefully. I mean,
right.
everyone
Knock
just
on.
keep being good. Like, keep your vaccines in you. Don't be stupid. Don't go to Florida and do Florida-y things. Yeah. Well, okay. So that's all I got. Where can people find you?
I am on everything at Yaya the Artist. Venmo, Instagram, Twitter.
Oh, Instagram and Venmo's below you right now.
Wait,
Yeah.
you know what
Yeah.
what it is.
Um,
Yeah, Yaya the Artist across the board. Nice and clean.
And I asked you last year where's the best place for you for people to consume your music? You said Apple.
iTunes.
iTunes?
I like Apple Music and iTunes.
Do you get paid from, let's say someone doesn't like Apple. Let's say they're a Disney princess and they're allergic to apples like Snow White. Where's a better place for them to...
Spotify?
But that doesn't get you money.
None of it does.
Is there another place to get you money through your music?
If you purchase it like via Amazon or iTunes.
Okay.
Unfortunately, at a local level, when you're a musician that relies on streaming, unless you're at like millions and billions of streams and can monetize your, pages and stuff, you're not really making any money. No one's making money off streaming.
Right. So people can support you by buying merch.
Yeah, Threadless, Yaya the artist. .threadless.com, I think.
Buying your album and not just streaming it. And then you're back to performing.
I'm back.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
You'll be in the showcase tonight at 8 p.m. We're gonna get there soon. And then any other plans for shows?
I will be back at Sidetracks on the 25th of this month. I believe I'm performing in Modesto in July, but
on the 25th, a Friday?
Maybe it's a
27th.
Is the 25th Friday?
It is.
Oh, then I don't know what it is. The 25th. I don't know what it is, but I will be there.
Oh, will you post about it on your social media?
Of course.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Then people can figure that out.
Once I know what day it is.
All right.
Yeah.
Neat.
Cool.
Sorry, I didn't mean to glitch us there.
I thought it was a Sunday, but I guess maybe not. Okay,
No.
Friday. All right. Well, see me at
well,
Friday
and
the 25th
then
somewhere.
as soon as I get another date at Punchline for my Queens and Comedy show,
I would love to do that.
I need you there.
Let's do it.
Okay. Let's go get some Crowns and Cokes. Thank you, Yaya, for being here. You're amazing, and I'm glad to have you back in Stab, where we have hung out so much.
It all started here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the show. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in and watching. We had a great show. Clifton was here. No Shapiro tonight. We don't have time for him. Crowns and Cokes are waiting. Yaya was here. Love you. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Jesse, for helping us. Also, remember, the LGBTQ Center of Sacramento, all the Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday night programming is coordinated in association with them, so please donate, support. They have a variety of resources, tests, counseling. Check them out. Support them. They help a lot of people. It would mean a lot. It's Pride Month, it's June, but do it always, even after June. Other than that, we'll be back on the 13th next week at 5:03 with hopefully a really cool guest like Yaya. So I'll see you on the 13th. Bye.
The city's your playground. I watch you take a bite. At 5 a.m. roaming the streets, drunk all night. You think you're hot shit, and oh, I love it.